So there have been a lot of articles and stuff being published right now about, the end of the year for Disney. And a lot of them want to frame everything that happened at the company this year as negative. And there's plenty of people in traditional media that would love to portray everything Disney ever does as positive or as if they're always winning. But I kind of fall back on the same notion that when you operate in this space, it's the idea, what they say, it's like people are not going to remember exactly what you said to them. They're going to remember how you made them feel. Well, I think in this context, it's more about, I want to think about how it felt to me like Disney came through in the year 2024 with it drawing to a close. And my initial observations, box office being king, at least when it comes to the news cycle for people who are not, hyper into the news and pay attention to everything that Disney does. If all you're looking at is, those big box office successes, it looks like Disney had a pretty darn good year. And in fact, I do think that they did when it comes to their wins at the box office, though there have, of course, been articles published about how even in the year 2024, winning at the box office, which, by the way, they did win 3 of the top 5 slots in the box office this year, it's still not the numbers that they had prior to 2019. But, that is true. But I think it's also fair to point out that you're competing against the market you're competing against. And in that crowd, they are king this year as they work to draw their numbers back. But as the market gets more saturated with other streaming services, with other production companies, with other ways like things like social media in which kids watch a lot of entertainment today, it gets harder and harder to grow that market cap. But there were a bunch of things that Disney didn't do well this year, but I want to get into all of them and then talk about the box office stuff at the end, at least a little bit. And this article is from Breitbart. It says Disney's biggest disasters of 2024, from The Acolyte to Mufasa to ABC News. It says Disney repeatedly attacked now President-elect Donald Trump through the campaign cycle, resulting in a bad year for ABC News. The studio saw its biggest streaming show of the year flop with subscribers, yet another ominous sign for the Disney Plus service, and Disney closed out the year with a major box office bomb. So yes, that is true. They did have to pay that $15 million lawsuit to Donald Trump over there at ABC for, for defamation. Not good for them. And yeah, The Acolyte did absolutely bomb. And it wasn't just the fact that The Acolyte itself bombed. It's the fact that the star of the show, Amanda Stenberg, went out of her way to take a bunch of general critiques of the show and turn it into something that was akin to racism, despite the fact that most of the people who kept an open mind said that Lee Jung Jae's soul character, he was the best part of the entire show. So it doesn't really hold up to scrutiny when you think of it like that. But it was a black mark against the company to have one of the stars of their shows coming out and doing that. And that's not even getting into Rachel Zegler with the upcoming Snow White movie. We will talk about that at least a little bit as well. We've covered it in endless videos. It all comes together to make for a bad year for Disney. For CEO Bob Iger, 2024 was something of a transition period as the company continued its recovery mode following 2 financially difficult years. Iger swung the axe yet again across the Disney properties with layoffs at Pixar, ABC News, Nat Geo, and more. I think, over 7,000 layoffs worldwide, or 3% of its workforce. Again, it's hard to say that a company is doing well when its employment is retracting. And now we're hearing all these stories. Look, I was going to get into stuff related to Pixar and the eraser of the trans storyline and was it Win or Lose and general coverage. Look at channels like Clownfish cover the animation industry and the contracting market and how nobody's finding jobs. It's very hard to paint a rosy picture for these companies when all you've really got to show for it are 3, to be fair, very, very good box office successes. But those 3 box office successes being Deadpool and Wolverine, Moana 2, and Inside Out 2, they cannot sustain an entire company. And of course, if you want to talk about the parks and stuff like that, there are whole channels dedicated to covering stuff like that. But simply from this side of things, if you're looking at things objectively, it's hard to imagine that those 3 big box office successes are enough to keep things going in a positive direction on the media side of things. Disney can take solace in the fact that its 3 blockbuster sequels, Inside Out 2, Deadpool, and Wolverine, are the top grossing movies of the year. Yes, they did have that going for it. And I will say, I loved Deadpool and Wolverine. I thought it was fantastic. So, but for every Moana 2 that rakes in a fortune, Disney has laid a giant egg, further sullying the studio's former sterling reputation. Yeah, we're not even going to get into Doctor Who or any of that stuff. But what's going on right now? It says the Acolyte's failure is emblematic of the entire streaming service Disney Plus, whose original exclusive content has not resulted in the market dominance Iger had hoped for. As the year drew to a close, headline after headline signaled trouble for the content platform. In September, Disney slashed prices for new subscribers to $1.99 a month, hoping to boost its Q4 numbers. This month, an ad agency expert reported that the companies are pulling their ad dollars from Disney due to unimpressive subscriber numbers, and Disney was shut out on the streaming charts by Netflix, Amazon, Paramount Plus, and even Peacock. Okay, a couple of things there. So it is 100% true. Look, most of these streaming services, they don't want you paying the full amount for the premium package with no ads. What they want to do now is they want to funnel you to the ad tier streaming service so that they can then sell ads to sell ads to advertisers, advertising space from advertisers, so that they can get more eyeballs on those, which is akin to more money for them. But the problem is, if the subscriber numbers are not high enough, the advertisers aren't going to look at it as a solid investment. And of course, look, take it for what you will. If you go check out the Samba TV charts every week, they do a pretty good job of showing you the top streaming shows each week, top 10 lists. It's great. Netflix is king. Netflix is king each and every week, and I'm not even kidding you. A lot of the times, unless you pay very, very close to the news cycle, you won't even have heard of half of the shows that are on there. But consistently, 6 to 7 of the 10 slots in the top 10 list for most watched things on streaming are always dominated by Netflix, and they really do run the market there. And Disney, in a lot of ways, is still just playing catch up. So it goes on. In what was supposed to be a box office slam dunk, the live-action Lion King opened to a hugely disappointing $35 million, way off its already muted expectation of $50 million. The movie could still find its legs, but its opening was a catastrophe for Disney. So, yeah, well, what it was is that first week was really bad. I actually I put out a tweet and I said I didn't ever imagine I would live in a world where a Disney Lion King movie, even a prequel, would lose to Sonic the Hedgehog. But Sonic the Hedgehog 3 did the numbers that it did and has the fan support that it did because of all the work they did to take the advice of the fans when that initial character design was put out, and that goodwill has brought them to 3 increasingly well-received sequels, which is something that Disney has not been able to pull off with Mufasa, though it is fair to point out that despite they did get caught in a fib, they got community noted the other day on X. They got community noted hard for calling themselves the #1 movie in America when in fact it was Sonic. Mufasa did pull its way back and had great numbers over the holidays, but it was drawing close to even around with Sonic. But the fact that they're in the same discussion shows you how far a lot of things have fallen at Disney. Now, they did win 3 of the 5 big movies of the year. Look, Inside Out 2 was great, but again, they took one of the things that they have pointing for them in the right direction as movies like Inside Out 2 took notes and had aspects of the story change that they felt would have been contentious with the audience, which led us to this story, which I'm not even going to get into full detail about, but just to make you aware of, about ex-Pixar staffers who are decrying the removal of a trans storyline from a Pixar show called Win or Lose. It's indicative of the combative nature between creatives and the studio executives who tried the progressive thing, tried the activist route, and have found increasingly to yield less and less money, which has angered the activist employees who want to use the multi-billion-dollar platforms as a way of pushing their own personal brand of identity politics, when smart creatives, smart investors, and smart executives know that you have to create broad stories that appeal to everyone. That's the whole point, right? You want everyone to be able to take something out of your story. And they even pointed out in here that they're getting away from the autobiographical nature of certain stories that just don't resonate with large audiences. That's an issue for them. It's not just that, guys. It's what's going on. So I mentioned The Acolyte and Amanda Stenberg. It's the consistent bad press from Rachel Zegler that was brought forth, where she, post-election 2024 had to then apologize for comments and has been kind of, a black eye for the company for many, many months, a couple of years now, and they can't seem to escape it. And then you get over to Marvel. You look at the fact that they only released one Marvel movie this year with Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was a huge hit, but they are paring back on their releases. They've got 3 coming out next year. There is some general interest in the upcoming Marvel films, but not as much as they need. And look, Captain America 4 has been going through endless reshoots. It's costing them a fortune. The same with Snow White, costing them a fortune with reshoots. Blade has been in production hell for ages, and it's not even going to be coming out next year. They can't survive on mediocre stories. I talk a lot about DC. I talk a lot about the fact that DC needs to, like, Superman has to be a hit. And not just that. Superman doesn't just have to be a hit with the critics and the fans. They need hit after hit after hit with them. The work that they've done over at DC has been so poor that they have lost the trust of their audiences. And when you lose the trust of their audiences, they get out of the habit of consuming your products. And when people get out of the habit of consuming your products, you have no way to pull them back in without a bunch of hits in a row that helps rebuild faith in your product. And if Disney is going to do that, they can't just do it with Inside Out 2, with Moana 2, with Deadpool and Wolverine. They need this repeatedly over the next several years. They can't have Mufasas. They cannot have movies that just stay middling and maybe claw their way back in the second week. They have to have hit after hit. This is true of both Disney, Marvel, but also of DC and all of these other properties. I was just wondering, guys, what do you guys think of all of Disney's work this year? I think I was kind of more prone to, because the losses were more spread out over time, over the course of the year, and the hit movies felt more acute, within the time span of the summer, and then Moana 2 at the end of the year. Like, it felt like a bigger year for Disney perhaps than it was, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're actually doing better than I thought they were, but they cannot afford to have actors bringing down the brand. They cannot afford to have creatives being constantly combative with them as they try to pull their way back into the good graces of the audiences. They have to make a lot of changes in the upcoming year so that they can get the good nature of the audience back on their side. And then hopefully people, when they think of Disney, they don't have those immediate negative reactions that a lot of people tend to have these days. They don't want people going in there weary of their product. They want people going in there excited about it. But I'm interested, guys. Down below, let me know, are you excited for anything coming out from Disney in 2024? I can't say that I'm excited for much, or 2025. I can't say that I'm excited for much. I want Captain America 4 to be great. I love a good, superhero spy thriller. The Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie of all time. So I'm kind of clinging to hope that February will bring a great Marvel movie, but I am not sure. Let me know down below. Marvel, Pixar. We didn't even get into Lucasfilm. Is there any, remember guys, $645 million to make 2 seasons of Andor on top of the Acolyte bombing with its insane budget. Is there anything from Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, any of those brands? Is there something you're looking forward to? Let me know down below. Stay tuned for more stuff. We've got brand new episodes of Pop Culture Crisis back again live Monday, January 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll see you there, guys. Hope you had a good new year. Later.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.